Well, thank you very much for coming on to the programme. Now, we've been hearing that Kemi Badenoch has pledged to leave the ECHR. The legal implications of doing this, how much harder would it be for people to then appeal their removal?
Well, they can still appeal their removal. They just maybe not be able to use articles of the ECHR. However, the ECHR doesn't give people the right to claim asylum. It doesn't give people the right to reside in countries. It doesn't grant the ability to give visas as such or residence permits for people to live here. So essentially, you know, saying we're going to go out of the ECHR, it won't stop the crisis of small boats because it doesn't grant that right in the first place. And it won't stop people coming in here and claiming asylum because that's a totally different thing altogether.
And there's been a big focus on the numbers today in this conference. The party saying that within 5 years it would remove 750,000 illegal migrants. Is that realistic?
Well, once again, this is a beauty of being in opposition. You can actually say anything you want until you get into power. If you have a look at Kemi Badenoch's party when it was in power, they had probably one of the worst removal rates ever in even down to 10,000 one year. That's gone up under Labour in the last year. Granted, a lot of those are voluntary returns, but even under the Conservatives, a lot of people that went back were voluntary returns also. So you have to take that into proportion. Before, under a Labour government, up to 60,000 people were going back a year, including voluntary returns and enforced returns. So the figures, you know, no one can really say how many people will be going back. They can only estimate. Reform are saying something else, Conservatives are saying something else, Labour are saying something else. It's the actual figures at the end of the year. They're the ones that count and what direction they're going in. And unfortunately, in Ms Badenoch's government, last government, Ms Badenoch was involved in, that the figures were going drastically on a downward spiral.
And we know there's appetite to tackle illegal migration by all parties. One of the areas being, one of the main sticking points being, you know, people not being able to frustrate the legal system. How easy or how difficult will it be to try and speed up that process? And, you know, is it going to happen? Could it realistically happen quite quickly?
Well, it could do. I mean, there used to be a fast-track system under the Labour government before. I know I was on the fast-track system. It used to be at Harmondsworth and at Cambridge. In a place called Oakington. If an asylum seeker came in at Dover on a Monday, by Wednesday they would be interviewed whilst detained. By Friday they would have a decision. If they lodged an appeal in Harmondsworth near Heathrow, they used to have a court actually in the detention centre. So a judge would sit there all the time and the appeal would be heard the week after. So whole case would be done and dusted in 15 to 20 days. That used to happen in this country, despite the ECHR, despite the Human Rights Act, despite human rights lawyers, despite immigration lawyers, despite judges, despite, you know, anything else. The Home Office had a system that worked. And unfortunately, just over the last years, in fact, the 10, 15 years that I've been reading Home Affairs Select Committee reports, the Home Office has been declared not fit for purpose. So it's the Home Office that needs reforming, not necessarily the system, it's the staff. If your staff are not good enough in a factory, you don't knock the factory down, you replace the staff.
Harjat Bangal, thank you very much for joining us. Really good to get your analysis there. That's Harjat Bangal, an immigration lawyer.